That was fun. That was fun.
So do you mind watching all these wonderful TV shows?
I'm pretty ready.
57 channels and nothing's on, Wendy.
Well, you know, you could always just watch me.
That sounds like a great idea. Or why don't you actually tell me about how you got into making tiki mugs?
Oh, gosh.
So how did it start?
Well, I was always a frustrated artist. I had my career, but it wasn't a career in art, and that was fine. I enjoyed what I did, but I always wanted to do art too. And Dan got into tiki collecting because he saw the magazine Tiki News that Otto put out. Mm-hmm. Fell in love with tikis just from that magazine. And then Sven's book of tiki came out, and that solidified Dan's love. And so he began to collect, and we began to go to antique stores in all of our free time to see if we could find anything. Mm-hmm. And when he would find something that he really liked, but it had damage, a chip or something, he would come to the resident artist in this home, me, to ask me if I could repair the chip.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that a lot for years. I would just repair things or try to hide a hairline or something to make his mugs look better for his collection.
Yeah.
And then one day he came to me and he said, you know what? I absolutely love this mug. And there should have been a bowl to go with it, but there has been no bowl. And he'd say, is there any way you could make me a bowl to match the mug? And I thought, oh, how could I do that? Well, I went and bought a bunch of Sculpey clay, and I started making bowls for him. So I made a whole series of should have been bowls. And so it was really fun for him, and he liked that. And then meanwhile, we were collecting art from Gecko in Hawaii, and he has always been our favorite artist in the tiki world. We have lots and lots of favorites, but the number one favorite, because he's a master glazer and sculptor and carver, has always been Gecko. And so I started hooking up with him. I said, you know, I have an idea that's so good that you have to say that you will make it and put my name on it as large as yours for this idea. And because he knew us so well as collectors, he agreed, without me telling what the idea was, to make whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that was the Bloody Maori. I told him I wanted a severed head like the Rin Clark head, but I wanted it life-size and to have the moko from the Maoris, and we'd call it the Bloody Maori, and that would be the gimmick. And
wow.
He said, okay. So I have the first one ever made upstairs.
Wow.
Huh?
That's insane.
Because that was my payment. Because I told him, you give me the first one, and then you can have all the money from all the rest. And I will be happy because my name will be on it along with yours, and I will ride your back to fame. And he said, okay. Well, the first one that sold was on eBay and went for $750.
$750?
For the first one after mine. Mine's still upstairs.
See, there's power in a name, Wendy.
And it was a good idea. And he went on to have different versions. Ones that he made and specially glazed, and then those that he had made in China. And so he one time said, thank you for the down payment for my new home. But it did start me in the tiki world. And so I continued on with him.
Yeah.
I ended up becoming friends with Janice Frank. I made a tiki bowl copying her war god, and she saw it online and tracked down my phone number and called me to have a good visit and tell me how much she loved my bowl.
Wow.
And we became friends after that. So we made a tribute mug to her with a brochure and told her story and the story of the Frankoma fire and everything. And she eventually gave me the copyright to the Francoma Tiki line. So that's why I can make the War Gods or the salt and pepper shakers or anything I want, is because locked in my safe is that copyright. All the Tiki line was burned up in that fire that destroyed Francoma, and so when she rebuilt and eventually sold it again, there was no Tiki line, so they didn't have the copyright to it. I have the only copyright.
Okay.
So that's what's fun. And I've always, since I was 6 months old, I've played with clay. My mom gave me clay at 6 months old, and I've had it in my hands ever since, doing something. And so I found my outlet. I absolutely love making these. I really like Tiki Bob.
Yeah, me
you
too.
know, and
It's my favorite mug.
really, well, he is the first one. He's so famous, you know, and all of us, everyone, Bosco and Woody, and I can't think of any tiki artist that doesn't eventually make a bob that looks like something.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so much fun.
And so you actually sculpt all your mugs.
I sculpt
right
them.
here.
Right here, and then we also make the molds, and we cast everything, and so it's all from scratch.
You literally do everything from the design to the actual, and you have a kiln, right, or something?
Have a kiln out in the backyard.
Oh my God.
And, well, it's in the kiln shed. I designed that shed and had it built just for that because I got cut loose. One day Gecko said, I've been making your projects for 2 years and I'm losing my own identity. I'm going to cut you loose. And he said, I'm going to start making my own again. And he said, and I panicked. I go, no, don't do that. And so I talked to Babaloo. And he made one mold for me. And then Bullet, he found me a friend of his who was a master mold maker and got us hooked up together where we could go and be taught how to make molds. And with one lesson, was off and running and been able to mold everything I've designed ever since. And his name was Matt Laudabauer. And he is wonderful. And he lives not too far from here, just about an hour away. And so that was the best little trip I ever had, thanks to Bullet. We make a lot of friends. You know, that's the best part about Tiki, are all the friends that you make.
Yeah.
And like you. You're a friend. And
Thanks for having me over.
It's joyful. It's joyful to meet all these people and have a common interest. And it's fun that Tiki is so different because they're different groups. You have Tiki artists like me.
Yeah.
You have Tiki collectors like Dan. Mm-hmm. You have people who have Tiki bars in their home. We've never had a Tiki bar, and who are into making all the drinks and trying to perfect them and make them better. A lot of Tiki people have gone on to write their own Tiki mixology books.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And then you have the people who just like the big giant Tiki events. Of course, there are people who like it all.
Yeah.
You know, you can have it all. You can't own one of every Tiki mug. We tried.
Yeah, I think.
But
I think if anyone came closest, it would have been you guys.
Yeah, we tried, but we found out that even if you just stuck to vintage, you couldn't get it all. And then with all the new artists coming up, which are keeping Tiki current and alive, you can't keep up with all the new artists. So we found that we just had fun, and Dan always collected according to what it looked like.
Yeah.
It's like he never would ever buy a Don the Beachcomber mug because he said, it's just some white guy in a hat. He goes, why would I want to look at that? And he particularly liked mugs where the Tiki looked mean or mad.
Yeah.
Better than one that was goofy or smiling. But he does have a fondness for Bob because of me.
And what he was saying is that when he was collecting mugs, you guys would be going, like, everything was all vintage,
Yes.
all thrift. Like, no, there wasn't any new mug makers or anything like that.
Just Bosco.
Yeah, and he was saying he didn't discover Bosco until like the late 90s.
You know where we found Bosco?
Where?
In a Hawaiian shirt shop in the shopping mall at the Rio Casino in Las Vegas.
Oh my God.
We used to look everywhere, so we went into the shirt shop, and there was this black moai head. It was a little bit abstract, like Bosco is, and looking at it, and Dan goes, that's an Easter Island moai. He goes, I am so happy, I'm going to get that. And then we became big Bosco fans after that. Collected a lot of his work.
So if someone wants to buy or get a mug from you, what do they need to do? Because you don't really have a website, right?
I'm just on Facebook by my name.
Yeah.
And then I'm on Tiki Central. And that's also my name, or under Dan Loves Tikis, because he does. I'm Dan Loves Tikis, and Dan is Wendy Loves Tikis. Those are our names. And
the way, and then people, let's talk about the wish lists.
Well, the wish list came about because I love to make different things rather than always making a run of something. Mm-hmm. And usually I just would make a run mostly just of the Sacramento crawl mug. But the wish list came when I had so many people saying, well, could you alter a bob to look like this or that? And it kind of morphed in, well, could you make this or that or the other, So I just would open up and take requests from people and give it my best shot. I mean, there have been times that I have had mugs that I would work on for a month and it would fail, and I couldn't make what the person wanted. But I always try my best. And if I can't make it, they didn't have to pay anything for it. So they had the fun of watching me try, because I post pictures of everything I do online. But I have had fails, and I've had things that have a few times that have cracked. But you just keep on going.
What would you say the hardest mug you've made? What would that be?
Well, glazing-wise, it was probably a set where I made the female and the male Martian for Mars Attacks.
Oh, man.
For a fellow in Australia. And that was terrifying to make. And it took a long time, but it came out, and I was so pleased. And so that was really fun. It's fun. I'm a ham, and I love to hear comments that are nice. So
I gotta say, one of my favorite mugs that you've ever made was you made a Tiki Bob version of King Diamond from the metal band Merciful Fate.
Yeah, that one was a challenge.
I saw that. I'm like, no wait, that's King Diamond. And it came out awesome. It was so cool.
I made a whole set of the Kiss people too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for Dwayne Orzal, who on Tiki Central goes by Psycho Tiki D.
Yeah.
And he wanted Kiss, and I made those for him. It's okay on the things that are copyrighted like that. I've talked to a number of people who say, when I do a black velvet of Disneyland tikis, or you do a tiki mug of one of those tikis, that if you're only making one here or there, that they are fine with that. It's only if you make a run of 150 they'll come get you. Yeah. But if you're making a few, they consider it to be advertising for Disneyland, that people get excited over it.
Yeah.
So I've done several, well, probably 6 or 7 black velvets of the Disneyland tikis, and I love doing those, and it's nice to repeat some things.
Yeah.
When you finally figure out how to do it. It's like it took me years to figure out exactly how to do a tiki bob and not have glaze run in the face, like from the outside in, or from the eyes running down like he's crying. You have so many of them that didn't turn out, but it was because I was new and I was learning on my own. I didn't have any ceramicist here in this area to tell me how to do anything. It was all hit and miss, and try this glaze and that glaze. But finally found out that the only way to do a tiki bob really well is to use an underglaze. That's a glaze that doesn't move, And then to make it gloss, you have to put a clear glaze on top of it. And it's also important, and I learned this, that you must make sure your underglaze is 100% dry before you put the clear on top of it.
Yeah.
Or it will run. So I've learned a lot and had a lot of fun, and I'm missing all of the Tiki events. If anybody's wondering whether or not Tiki events are worth going to, yes, they are. They all are fun, and they're all so different. And just wonderful. You're lucky to live so close to, well, it's not real close for your Tiki Con, is it?
Yeah, it's about 3 hours though.
3 hours? That's kind of like us to get to the ocean. It's 2.5 or 3 hours from here. Oh, so much fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Wendy,
Oh,
for coming on the show. But speaking of shows, my shows are coming on now. So I'm going to watch Days of Our Lives. Thank you very much, Wendy.
I'm a General Hospitals person. Have fun. This was fun.
Hey gang, this is Tiki with Ray, and I just want to say thank you very much for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more episodes, click on the subscribe button. And if you liked the video, give it a like. That would mean a lot to me. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave a comment in the comment section below.